It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. Today we're going to be covering the team that I think is most effectively being used for Captain Caviar. Now, yes, it does use Black Pearl, but there's a couple reasons behind this. You can use someone like Sea Fairy, Clotted, Frost Queen, Espresso, or even Squid Ink potentially if you've got enough power behind them. And the reason is the overall damage that you need to output to fight the current meta is very tall order. Financier Cookie, Wildberry, Hollyberry, Caramel Arrow, the often culprits that you see are running very, very high damage resistance setups. And I can't bring myself to spend 20 to 30,000 topping pieces to build damage resistance toppings when that shouldn't be the only type of build. So it's been a little bit painstaking, but I've been trying to think of a way to get past teams like that without necessarily building like that. Now, that doesn't mean we could ignore damage resistance. I just don't want it to be the main focus. So what we're doing is we're doing peanuts on Hollyberry with 25% damage resistance. We're doing critical toppings on Crunchy. Yet again, 25 damage resistance. We are running cooldowns with Captain Caviar. I want to get that cooldown higher, but I can't at the moment, but at 18% damage resistance. We're running cooldowns on Black Pearl. Yet again, want higher cooldown and higher DR, but that's the size we have for now. And then we are running 23.8% cooldown on Cotton, but only 1.8% damage resistance. So, as you can see, the team does have a focus on that. But more so, if we go to the info of the cookies, you can see 282,000 HP for Crunchy, 151 for Caviar, 138 for Black Pearl, 184 for Cotton, and 456,000 for Hollyberry. So, that means that the Flamingo Tube is going to be increasing the HP by 50% for both Hollyberry and Crunchy Chip. Now, if you think about that, that means that Hollyberry is going to be well over 600,000 HP, and Crunchy Chip is going to be at least over 350,000. Now, that matters for a couple reasons. It's going to give Hollyberry more time to siphon damage from the enemies on the team that we're using, and it gives more time for more wolves to be summoned by Crunchy Chip. Because you have to remember, all the buffs that we give are specifically feeding in to Crunchy Chip, but in addition, we are also giving a kind of pseudo damage resistance from Hollyberry. So what people like about Wildberry better is that Wildberry gives 15% damage resistance to the team and stuns the enemy. Where what Hollyberry does, if you read the skill, continuous damage is excluded and indirect damage. So it can't take that damage, but it becomes a shield taking the other damages. And so the way that works is damage focus 20%. What that means is it's technically 20% damage resistance to the team, excluding continuous damage and indirect damage. So people would argue that Wildberry is better for that reason. And maybe they should just update Hollyberry's skill to just be 20% damage resistance for the entire team. It might make more sense. Sometimes they do a little bit of confusing things, but then again it allows for interesting and unique play. So the idea is to give everyone a chance to not necessarily be completely taken down right away. They can only do damage relative to max HP with certain skills, including to Hollyberry, and that being 300,000 damage, and her being over 600,000 HP. As long as she's healed by Cotton well, that means it's not going to be a complete KO on most hits. So, we're going to go ahead and take that into battle and see what we come across. It's not going to go ahead and win against every single team, but that's okay. This is just to show you what it is capable of and how it's handling in Masters. So Black Pearl, the moving units together, that's going to be super helpful. The reason we chose Cotton here instead of Cream Unicorn is that even though Cream Unicorn does really good burst healing, there's two specific things that Cotton does a little bit better in certain situations. Cotton gives the stuns from the sheep, makes Crunchy Chip stronger, and also gives really good consistent healing. And you can see it right there. We won. We won anyway. We didn't have Financier Cookie. We didn't have Wildberry, but we still won. And they had the meta team. They had Black Pearl. They had Caramel Arrow. They had Eclair. We still won. If you look here, damage received, Crunchy and Hollyberry are taking the most. That Flamingo Tube is making it so they are surviving longer, which means our back line is also able to survive longer. Hollyberry is taking that damage, and Crunchy Chip is dishing it back out. The knockback from Hollyberry is really good too, because when they are pulled together as one from our Black Pearl, and then getting knocked back from our Hollyberry, it's creating this nice little distance so that their skills are either missing or not targeting correctly. Because if you do get out of range, you can't target, and that actually makes a huge difference too. So those are some super helpful things. And as you can see from healing, their Cream Unicorn did really good. Our Cotton did better. Now, it's debatable that if a team does or has less health to heal, then they're going to heal less overall. That is technically true mathematically, but that's not really the focus here. The focus is our Black Pearl well outscared theirs. And we're not doing anything special other than just our syncs with our skill orders. That's all we're really doing. And Captain Caviar is lowering the defense, which is mattering specifically for Financier and Caramel Arrow. So that way we can push through that front line just a little bit easier. So we're going to go ahead and take it against a few other random teams. And we're going to try and avoid anyone with too low of treasures, just to keep it kind of fair. So, yet again, high chances to lose, but it is set up in a good way. This time they have Wildberry, so they're going to have much more thick defense on their team, but that means that Caviar is a little bit more beneficial against that front line that we're fighting. Does it mean we win? Not a guarantee. But as you can see, that Flamingo Tube already making it so that Crunchy Chip and Hollyberry are not immediately getting taken out. Now, we do not have the overall force to push through what they're running, so their other version of the pseudo team, which is not running Black Pearl, it did better. Here's why. Wildberry is an amazing counter to Crunchy Chip, an amazing counter to Cotton, and an amazing counter to anyone that does a lot of hits of damage on Wildberry. So as you can see, Wildberry and Caramel Arrow on equal pars there against our team. So that time we did not have much of a chance. If you look at healing, yet again, Cream Unicorn able to do some great great healing, but our Cotton did pretty good too. And damage received very heavy in Hollyberry and Crunchy Chip that time. So our Black Pearl still did amazing. Our Crunchy still did amazing for damage. Caviar did get beaten down because of the stuns. And we could have run Coco instead of Hollyberry because of Wildberry, but it's a dangerous thing to do because if they have Espresso, you create a ticking time bomb for that reason. So let's go ahead and fight this team too. This will be the last battle to see if we can win or not. And this is going to be a tough one too. They've got 2 guaranteed Magic Candy users here. That's already something in their favor. Espresso is a counter to Crunchy Chip, Caviar, and Cotton because Espresso is a counter to all summon units. And they have very high star ascended units overall. So this is going to be a powerful opponent. We'll probably not win, but let's give it a shot anyway and see what it's capable of. So as we go in, they have Vampire, so that confirms that they have a 3rd Magic Candy user. Here's the question. Do we have enough damage resistance and enough skill order synchrony to actually bypass them out? Their Vampire took out our Cotton, so we've lost our healing altogether. Our timing with our cooldowns on Black Pearls doing really good to avoid most of their attacks. But in the end, we did not have enough power to take them out completely. And they also have a Monocle. I just saw their activation. So, between all of that... Sorry, they don't have a Monocle. They have the healing from Yam and the healing from Vampire with the skills. And look at that. Espresso right there, doing exactly as I thought would happen. Countering the summon units. Yam doing a really good job too. That team right there, that's still a very powerful team. Running into that, very dangerous setup unless you're running basically a mirror team, because the Magic Andy users are super, super strong in very many facets right now. So it's a hard bargain and a hard battle to run against them. But just statistically, look at here. We still did great healing. We still did really good damage reductions, and we still did really good damage overall with our specific units. The main thing is, though, Cotton had no time to do damage. Vampire completely vanquished Cotton. Hollyberry, not really in the focus of damage because of the way our toppings are set up, so that's not the focus. And then Caviar didn't live long enough because Espresso was able to just take out that midline. So between those setups, that's why we weren't able to win that battle. So I hope that those teams help you kind of get an idea of where this team can land. But there are many other teams that this will vanquish. Many, many others. And you saw in the first fight, we beat the meta team. Like the current meta team, the speed meta or whatever it is, we beat that. We can take that. That we're able to go ahead and take. So don't treat this as your all team that handles every battle. Just treat it as one of the 3 to 5 teams that you can bounce back and forth between to just fight against the current meta. And it's something that works pretty nicely. So let me know in the comments if you have any opinions of the team, any altercations or changes you'd make. Obviously, Finance or Wildberry would probably be the 2 top comments I'd already expect. But I'm trying to make teams without them in a focus because, yes, we know they're strong, but we want variety. We want abilities for people to run cookies that they love rather than feel that they're forced to run only specific cookies. And that's what my goal is, to try and move that around. Yes, you could run things like the Insignia or the Feather to give more survivability to specific cookies and maybe push through. But I like what the Flamingo Tube does for this team specifically because it helps out in a lot of different ways. If you're really, really gutsy and you think you have a really strong team with high cooldowns, you can take out the Jelly Watch and put the Insignia or the Monocle in that way. But yet again, you're going to kind of be running under some very specific conditions that may not be very helpful to you. Just depends on what you're fighting up against. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope this video is helpful to you. Have a wonderful day.